So I typed a text to a girl I used to see, telling her I chose this cutie pie with whom I wants to be. And I apologize if this message get y'all down. Then I CC'd every girl that I CC round town. Hate to see y'all frown, but I'd rather see her smile and wetness all around me. True, but I'm no island. Peninsula, maybe. No, it makes no sense. I know it's crazy. Give up all this pussy cat that's in my lap. No looking back. Spaceships don't come equipped with rear view mirror. They dip as soon as they can. The atmosphere is so ripped. I'm so like a pimp. I'm glad it's night. So the light from the sun would not burn me on my bum. Shoot the moon. How we jump the broom like a preemie out the womb. My partner yelling too soon. Don't do it. Reconsider. Read some literature on the subject. You sure? Fuck it. You know we got your back like chiropractic. If that bitch do you dirty, well, wipe her ass out as in detergent. Now hurry, hurry. Go on to the altar. I know you ain't a pimp. A pimp, remember what I taught you. Keep your heart, 3 stacks. Keep your heart. Hey, keep your heart, 3 stacks. Keep your heart. Hey, these girls are smart, 3 stacks. These girls are smart. Play your part. Play your part, sweet John, my bitch a choosy lover, never fuck with never rubber, never in the sheets like it on top of the cover, money on the dresser, drive a compressor, top notch hoes get the most, not the lesser. Sorry. Good morning. Good evening. What's up, everybody? Deepest apologies for our tardy commencement, and also apologies for my auntie Gen. I'm giving you, this is Gen X auntie. This is Gen X auntie. Fucking Will said I was giving y'all my best Jaguar right. I said, nigga, get off my phone, nigga. Get the fuck off my goddamn phone. Self-love, self-preservation. Y'all don't even know that joint. That joint's a banger. Shout out to Jaguar. I know she out here saying a lot of things. I tuned into one of her lives and then she started saying positive things about Trump. I said, I think I'm gonna turn this off for a few minutes. Let me turn this down. Let me scroll and see what Jamaican TikTok doing on the ones and twos. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you guys are doing great. Shout out to my wonderful mods. Thank y'all for holding down the chat in my absence. What's up to Anna Hart? What's up, Abby? What's up, Dawn Bird Afraid? Not what's up to Latif in the building. My son Tyler. Shout out to Chuck Diesel. Chuck Diesel was in this joint the other night. I appreciate that. So thank you. LJ Williams in the building. There they go. There they go. Yeah. Good to see you, LJ. Thank y'all for coming out. 2Fs in here. All right. I love it. I love it. So let me not dilly and the dally here because we are off to a late start. Will wanted me to communicate to y'all, even though I know nobody was complaining because we don't have a bunch of complainers here, but Will was out in the streets of Baltimore City painting murals with the children. This is the kind of people that we have associated with this here platform. This is us, you know what I'm saying? So if we show up late, it's because we was out here loving on the people, as brother Will was out here doing. So big up to Will. Let me see them flame emojis up for Will, because Will's a real nigga out here, okay? Will's a real one out here. Will love the kids, and we love Will for loving the kids. So thank you so much for that. But I only got a couple topics that I wanted to get into tonight. And you know what? I was actually wrongly, not wrongly motivated. What should I say here? I saw a video talking about the difference between punditry and journalism. And I was moved by said video. And I just want to just reiterate, I don't think anybody is unclear here about what it is that I do versus what I have done. Here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown, I can journalist, but I choose not to. And by journalist, by this fucked up unobjective standard that we have in this culture, is about so-called both sides. Do you see both sides? Can we argue both sides? Well, both sides, but it's given the false assumption that one side is correct or one side's argument has merit. And sometimes one side's argument does not have no fucking merit. They just either have loud voices or they actually hold power, right? But their arguments are not moral nor just nor righteous, nor are they even practical in most instances. So anyway, I have journalisted in the past. Yes, write that down. That's a new word. I have journalisted in the past. Okay. I don't journalist currently. I opine here. You know what I'm saying? However, within my opining, I never lie to y'all. I don't have an agenda. My agenda is black people to be free, is for capitalism to be fucking done up out here. What else do I want? Oh, I want people to stop abusing each other. And I want the people that do the most abusing to definitely stop abusing. And they know who they are. So my agenda here, I'm telling you, it's not based upon any sort of clout or click chasing. I don't do that. If I were to do that, then I'd have been did that. But that I don't. Close your ears, Will. I don't give a fuck about that. I mean, if it happens, that's great. And that would be awesome if it did. But, these aren't popular stances in the algorithm, or at least the stances that get buku attention anyway, or I'm whatever the fuck. Let me shut up. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. Who cares? We do it the way we do it. And here we're going to do it up. So do me a favor, if you haven't already, we appreciate everyone that's waited and joining us now live via the vertical stream on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you're watching us on Twitch, shout out to Northern Witch and Rosalba on Twitch. You are watching Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, support us, become a member, shoot us some bucks. I got some thanks coming up in a bit for the people that helped to support us during our fundraiser last week. But I wanted to start off just hitting again the ongoing saga of the crumble of celebrity, the admiration, undeserved, I think, most times for most celebrities. We can, I suppose, appreciate in one hand the talent, and on the other hand, perhaps abhor the personal behavior and personal decisions. So we know that Sean P. Diddy Combs facing not only federal charges, but 30 civil lawsuits, a number of which were filed this week, all by male accusers, by the way. We support all survivors out here. But Jay-Z is the one that's been really grabbing the headlines because aside from Diddy, Jay-Z is the only major celebrity that has been named. And Jay-Z has carved out quite a reputation for himself as being America's rapper. Shit. How the fuck that happened? But someone that is very acceptable to the corporate palate. Barclays Center, New Jersey Nets, NFL, blah, 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 blah. So these rape accusations against Jay-Z involve a woman who was 13 at the time. She has filed a civil lawsuit naming Jay-Z and Sean Combs, and she gave an interview to NBC News that I was really surprised to think that would and could happen. And she chose to remain anonymous. Again, she filed her lawsuit as a Jane Doe and she remained in shadow. And I think there was even some voice distortion here. But what the interview, as curious of a strategic legal decision from her representation as I thought that this interview was, it highlighted or at least brought out some things that many are calling inconsistencies. And I don't think that is inaccurate to say that there are inconsistencies with this person's story. But I want to be clear, inconsistencies don't necessarily equate to lies. And we will get into why a survivor of sexual assault may remember things different. But what this person underscores is that they don't misremember the incident, but some of the details may be blurry. some 24 years on. But anyway, if you haven't seen this, we're about to show it to you. So we'll go ahead and cue that up. So again, this is from NBC News, and this is Jay-Z's Jane Doe accuser, who is being represented by Houston lawyer Tony Busby, who has found himself in the crosshairs of the Jigga Man in a big, big way. So let's go ahead and check out the interview, and we'll come back and talk about it.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of raping her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet. But it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
An NBC News review of her account found inconsistencies with her allegations. She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, "I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind," he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statements. "I have made some mistakes," she said. "Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me." The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false. The accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, said, "Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress." In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, "This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory."
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
Yeah, I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of, being chastised by their fans.
All right, Chloe Malas joining us now live. Chloe, we just heard a very strongly worded statement from Jay-Z. What else are you hearing from him and his team?
Yes, so his attorney.
That's good, Will, because we are going to hear from Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, here shortly. But just a few things quickly about the statement or the interview given there by Jane Doe and about Tony Busby, the attorney. So Tony Busby, in the wake of all the Diddy allegations and him being charged with trafficking and whatever the fuck he's charged with, crazy shit, right? Tony Busby put out a phone number, like an 800 number, like you see them shits in the middle of the day, have you contracted mesothelioma? Call us at 1-800. He put out one of them joints, right? 800 number for people to call in. He said he received 3,000 calls. Of the 3,000 calls, his firm received 120 claimed by Busby and his firm are the ones that they intend to pursue. This woman's account is one of them. To hear that Tony Busby had not previously polygraphed this lady, I find quite curious because of the high profile person and the kind of money that potentially is involved. I would think, and Jay-Z is lawyered the fuck up, as he's made very clear. Like, I would think that the Busby would have his ducks a little bit more in a row than this. And I'm not sure if this woman sounded kind of ill prepared based off her stated conditions or because she wasn't prepped by her attorney in a good way. I don't fault her, obviously, for presenting the way she presents or speaking the way that she speaks, because she says that she's autistic and she suffered a head injury. And isn't it interesting how even disability finds itself in a situation like what Jay-Z is accused of? But yes, that happens quite a bit, where people who are challenged, have mental disabilities, mental health issues, are more vulnerable and more susceptible to be abused and exploited, right? And but again, the inconsistencies I'm not 100% bothered by. I am a little bothered that Busby didn't give her a lie detector test. Now, obviously, a lie detector test is not admissible in criminal court. Jay-Z is not charged criminally. He is charged civilly. But if I was coming at somebody as powerful and as connected as Jay-Z, I would have put her ass on the lie detector test. Now, I don't think this person is lying, because it is such a fantastical story. It's like, how the fuck could you come up with all of this shit, right? I have a tendency to believe that truth is actually stranger than fiction. And sometimes when some stories sound completely outlandish and crazy, it is well within the realm of possibility that shit actually did happen, because, again, life is banonkers, okay? Life is banonkers. So let's circle back to some of the inconsistencies pointed out in the story. And we're gonna hear from, again, Jay-Z's attorney, and he points out some more. And I'm gonna let him cook a little bit, because again, when I started off the show talking about being a journalist versus opining, I want to be fair in this, right? I am also clear. This is an opinion show, but I'm clear about my biases, okay? I am absolutely biased towards victims, towards survivors. And that is intentional, actually, because people who have survived rape and sexual assault and abuse, etc., historically and even present day, have been disbelieved, discredited, smeared, blacklisted, blackballed, outcasted, all kinds of shit, right? So I think that the amount of trauma and suffering due to disbelief and inaction suffered historically by victims of assault, there needs to be a big overcorrection. Okay, I'm deeply unapologetic about that shit. So I'm going to be biased towards survivors until there's evidence or proof or whatever the fuck enough to be like, okay, that's inaccurate or that's not true, right? Haven't seen that yet. Back to the inconsistencies. One of the inconsistencies mentioned was the Madden brothers. Good Charlotte, right? Waldorf, Maryland's own. Maryland does this every fucking where. Y'all don't even know it. Benji and Joel Madden, straight from Maryland. Good Charlotte. Correct. At the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards, Good Charlotte did not perform. NBC News reports that Good Charlotte actually had a show that night in Chicago. And according to the Madden Brothers representatives, they did not attend the MTV Music Awards. What they did not say is that they did not attend any after parties at the MTV Music Awards. And I find that kind of curious because, again, Jane Doe is not asserting that she was assaulted at the awards. She says she was assaulted at an after party at a separate location, right? And for them, the Madden Brothers representatives, to kind of play a little fast and loose with the specifics there makes me raise an eyebrow because words matter, right? They never said they weren't at the party. And yes, they may have played a show in Chicago, right? Which is completely possible. But we know how these artists jet set and go places to be in the mix, to rub the shoulders, to kick it with the famous people, the other famous people. To me, it's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that they could have flown to Chicago to New York for the party and then flown out to the next city wherever they intended to tour, right? How long is a flight from Chicago to New York? I'm guessing 2.5, 3 hours max, right? Is it within the realm of possibilities they could have flown in for the parties and then flown out? Yep. In my opinion, it is. Again, Good Charlotte was a new group on the scene at the time. You know what I'm saying? To go to the Diddy after party, I think would have been a good look for them, regardless. So there's that. I'm not bothered by that. And the fact that the Jane Doe accuser says that she spoke with Benji Madden about his Last Supper tattoos, again, that's pretty specific. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that I think a 13-year-old at the time would remember, right? Now, here's some things that I think that a 13-year-old may not remember. I don't think a 13-year-old would remember the duration of the car ride. I don't think a 13-year-old who, I suppose, lived in Rochester, New York at the time would be familiar with how to navigate New York City. And then the part where they say that her father does not remember coming 5 hours from Rochester down to the city to pick her up. Doesn't remember that. Now, the statement that the father gave, which was read by the journalist in the NBC package, is the father's quote was, "Yeah, I've got some issues, but I think I would have remembered that." Okay. I don't know what kind of issues we're talking about here. Are we talking about also head injury issues? Are we talking about dementia? Are we talking about remnants of substance abuse? Like those issues, whatever his issues are, I think might be relevant to whether or not he may or may not remember. And I don't, and again, I don't know the age of her father. And trust me, like I'm 46. There are things that I have brought up to my mom from yesteryear and from my childhood that she doesn't remember. You know what I'm saying? Not even weighty consequential things, or maybe even some weighty consequential things. But parents sometimes block shit out. they do. They absolutely will memory hole some stuff if it was something pertaining to their 13-year-old daughter being alone in New York City, and the parent may not want to interrogate what happened because they themselves may not have been emotionally equipped to deal with it, right? So those things by themselves don't denote lie to me, okay? To me. I want us to hear from Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's lawyer, and I'm gonna let him cook. You can start that. You can start that at 0-0. Will. Damn, there was a 0-0. I think it was 0-0. Anyway, fuck it. We'll see. We'll see when it starts. But My man's got a PowerPoint presentation, and we not gonna go through the whole fucking PowerPoint. Sorry, Alex Spiro, but I'm gonna let them present their case here because I'm trying to be fair. Okay, I'm trying to be fair, and I also want to say, like, the reasons that people disbelieve is because they believe or have it in their mind that someone as successful and tall and talented and wealthy as Jay-Z would not, I guess, lower or reduce themselves to having to rape a 13-year-old. And to people who say things like that, I say to them, well, you don't know dudes. You don't know dudes. And if we got to use some well-known examples to prove to you that Jeffrey Epstein, who probably has way more money or had way more money than Jay-Z, had his own fucking island. Jeffrey Epstein was ferrying teens here, there, and wherever. Also wealthy, also, I guess, attractive by their standard. You know what I'm saying? Also had all the accoutrements of a man that would not have, you think would not have to. We don't, see, that's what I'm saying. Rape is not about, I have to take the pussy. Okay. Like rape, the rape is something that terrible dirt scumbags do because they get off on it, not even from a sexual perspective. It's a dominance, it's a power thing, right? So why would Jeffrey Epstein have to grape? Why would Harvey Weinstein have to? Why would R. Kelly have to grape? Right? These people are wealthy, successful, attractive, and well, not Weinstein, but whatever. So miss me with the Jay-Z's too fly to be raping. Do y'all don't know dudes? People who say that do not know men, and it shows. But anyway, I'm gonna let Spiro cook here. Go ahead, cue him up, Will. Let's see what they talk about. Oh, and by the way, this is Forbes clip, so this shit is susceptible to pop-ups. So be quick on the draw, good brother. Be quick on that skip draw. So anyway, go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Anything else?
Oh, no, not the time code. Hold on. No, stop. On my bad. Start this joint back. Run. I mean, start that from 00. That is a time code I want to come back to, but his PowerPoint, it's towards the beginning. God damn it. I'm sorry, Will. I didn't fuck this all up. Somewhat. Only put down one.
The narrative.
Go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
The location where it happened, the witnesses, who were they? What did they say? The details. Details are very important in time. So we start off with the location. And according to their complaint, after approximately 20 minutes, she arrived at a white house with a U-shaped driveway and a gate. There is no such location in New York, 20 minutes from Radio City. It does not exist. There is no such location. We don't know whether they created a location in order to try to get jurisdiction in New York so they could bring this case in New York, or whether they just didn't do their homework. But any New Yorker knows there is no such location. Beyond that, this was supposed to have taken place at Mr. Combs' after party, according to them. When you look at the homes associated with Mr. Combs during that period of time, and even not during that period of time, none of them matches. He had a townhouse, he had a house in the Hamptons hours away, and he had homes in New Jersey, but not at that time. None of the homes work, the location doesn't work because this never happened. And again, when you really bear down on the location and his whereabouts, you quickly realize, because if there's photographic evidence and witnesses are coming forward, that Mr. Carter was at a commercial establishment after the VMAs. He wasn't at a house. Unfortunately for them, they needed to create this house in order to create the narrative. But he wasn't at a White House that did not exist. And this is a photograph of him at a location after the VMAs.
I know this is going to sound...
Sorry, y'all. Oh, hold on real quick. Before you let it resume, let me say this. Attorney Spiro was going to go on about Jay-Z being at a commercial location. Jay-Z was at the club. How could he be raping his 13-year-old if he was at the club? He was photographed at the club. He was at a commercial establishment. I know we got a few New Yorkers around here. New York. do y'all club hop? Do y'all venue hop? Do you leave one spot and go to the next spot? Do you leave that spot and then go to the after hours spot? Please. Attorney Spiro, you're doing your job, no doubt, but come on. Like that doesn't hold water, sir. He couldn't have been at the house 20 minutes away from New York City because there is no such house 20 minutes away. Well, this young woman is not a New York City resident, and she was 13 at the time. I would imagine, if I'm trying to recall shit from 13 years old, going back 24 years, even though 24 years ago I was definitely not 13, but you understand, I don't know if I would be able to accurately line up the time, right? Like I don't know. I just think I don't think that's a reasonable expectation for somebody to be able to remember how long they were in a car 24 years ago riding around and they didn't know and they weren't from the area. And trust me, New York, especially Manhattan, for non-New Yorkers, it's mesmerizing. Okay. Like the reason why native New Yorkers get so goddamn irritated with the tourists walking around fucking looking up and shit, because that shit is glittery and it's beautiful and it's all sparkly and shit at night. So I can totally see how a 13-year-old could have gotten completely caught up in the fact that they were riding in a limousine, allegedly going to a celebrity's after party from the MTV Music Awards, and just enchanted by the fact that they were, doing that Manhattan, ride, son. That shit is legit. Okay. If you're not from there, it's just impressive. Okay. Especially it's impressive to grown folks, let alone a teenager. But anyway, we'll go ahead. Good. Thank you, Will. You can go ahead and resume it.
So as we can continue through this, that Jane Doe does not say that the assault happened at a commercial establishment. She can't. That wouldn't make any sense. Yet they stand by it. They double down. They triple down. White House. The White House doesn't exist. And then we get to the witnesses. And I think at the outset, everybody has to remember that in 24 years, not a single witness has ever come forward saying this happened. Quarter of a century. Think about that. She says she's at the party alone, this 13-year-old girl, and she finds herself in the room with the three most famous people at the party. Just think about how unnatural, how little common sense that makes. And according to her, one of the witnesses is a female celebrity who's just standing there watching the repetitive rape of a child. That celebrity does nothing, says nothing, reports nothing. And in fact, they won't even identify her. According to them, there's an adult female in the room watching the rape of a child. They refuse to identify her.
Pause that for me.
So then we continue. And
now, doesn't it sound as though Attorney Spiro just identified her? This 13-year-old is in a room with the three most famous people in the world. Who's the third? If we know the first two are allegedly your client, Sean Combs. Who's the third most famous person that's a female in the room? Is it Jenny from the Block? Is he insinuating that J-Lo was in the bill? I mean, because he drops J-Lo's name quite a bit in this press conference. And it sounds as though he is insinuating that it could possibly be Jennifer Lopez in the room. How do you think that? I'm sure Jennifer Lopez saw the shit and was like, these motherfuckers. And by the way, let me say on a very quick side tangent. Listen, a lot of the names, primarily, but not exclusively, dropped by Jaguar Wright, coming about all these weirdo celebrities doing these child weirdo bad things to the children. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these people's names, these people are kind of fucked up right now. Like, I know J-Lo's still out here looking gorgeous and accepting her awards and whatever the fuck's going on, but her man, Benny from the Block, Ben I feel as though somebody dropped a dime to Ben Affleck and said, dog, you don't want to be with this chick when this shit hits the fan. And that's why I think Ben Affleck bounced on her ass. Also allegedly named in some, I mean, not formally in any court proceedings, but again, in them streets, in them internet streets, allegedly, Odell Beckham Jr. allegedly, alleged. I don't even want to say it because it's all alleged and it's all terrible. But Odell Beckham Jr. just got cut from the Dolphins. Now that might not have shit to do with shit, but interesting to me. LeBron James has taken a leave of absence away from the Lakers for reason unknown, unsaid. And trust me, both of them dudes' names have been floated in all of this weirdo freak off, doing shit with and for Diddy and then the kids, and it's all bad. But I even though no one on mainstream outlets are connecting this shit, and they wouldn't, at least not say it, but dog, it seems as though the house of cards is starting to crumble. Interesting, so much interesting to me that Jay-Z is now a part of this in a big way. That was my side tangent. I'm sorry, Will. I smoke weed. Go ahead, Will. You can keep playing.
And you look, and there's celebrities that she says she's mingling with before. Afterwards, she says she runs out of the house naked. None of them notice that. None of them pay any notice. For 24 years, none of them has said anything. And so she's just asked in this interview, she's asked, well, I mean, celebrities are recognizable people. Surely you can tell us one celebrity that was there. Just give us one name so that we know this happened. And she says, okay, Benji Madden was there. And she wants to conjure up religion and say, I'm religious. I remember his tattoo. She looks and remembers so vividly the tattoo and the conversation with Mr. Madden. Well, Mr. Madden wasn't there. He already said he wasn't there. His tour schedule said he wasn't there. And he wasn't there because this never happened. None of this ever happened. And you keep going and you ask yourself, well, who is this complaining witness? She does not come forward with her real name. She proceeds under Jane Doe. There's no report to the police. According to her, she never tells anybody for 24 years. Not one person, not alone in the car for 5 hours at home, on her way home. Not one person, not a diary, not a family member, not a friend. Most people, when this happens, there's a need to tell somebody. We call these prompt outcry witnesses. In most complaints like this, people tell somebody. She says nobody for 24, 25 years.
So I want to push back against that because prompt outcry, right, is something that is used, in my opinion, against survivors of sex assault. And it goes to this whole notion of if you're going to accuse anybody, whether or not it's Joe Schmo down the block or J fucking Z, you must be the perfect witness. You must be the perfect victim. And this idea that survivors of rape and sexual assault immediately report to anyone, let alone the police, or any fucking body is misplaced, and it's wrong. Okay, it's false, and it's part of the reason why rape culture is still allowed to thrive. It's part of the reason why people are disbelieved. It completely disregards this whole idea of prompt outcry. This person should have immediately reported it to the police or went to the hospital. How come they didn't tell their mom? How come they didn't phone a friend? How come? Because sex assault is a traumatic incident. It's a traumatic event. The body is traumatized. The mind is traumatized. And what happens when you experience trauma? You could have issues with memory. You could have issues ordering the chronology of how things happen. You could transpose details. This person, Jane Doe, also believes that she was drugged with an alcoholic drink. I would think that could also impair what she remembered, at least when it comes down to the minutia of some of the details. And I'm telling you, like, Spiro, the lawyer here, is presenting this like he's talking about a grown adult victim who's an adult now, but who was 13 at the time, very much still a child. Also, someone who had some developmental disabilities with autism. And I don't know how that would impact the way that she would process a traumatic incident like a gang rape for all intents and purposes, right? So while Spiro is lawyering the way he's supposed to lawyer for the amount that he undoubtedly is charging Jay-Z, some of this argument doesn't also doesn't hold enough weight for me to completely dismiss this person's accusations out of pocket, right? Just out of hand. Like, oh, well, how could and again, with the whole Benji Madden thing, Benji Madden's people said that he wasn't at the awards. They did not say he was not at the party. And those are two different locations, okay? And again, it's not unreasonable to think that celebrities, they jet says what the fuck they do. So anyway, that's not a good argument. But anyway, go ahead, cook, Mr. Sparrow. Continue.
And then we get to the details. And I want to make sure this is clear. When people make up an account, whether intentionally or their mind is playing tricks on them, they can always get that core part of the story right. They can just keep repeating it over and over and over again. This is what happened, that core part. But they're always going to mess up the details. When something isn't real, when something doesn't happen, you're going to get the details wrong because you weren't really there. And so she starts with her story about her friend that dropped her off. Okay? This drive of over 5 hours, the friend would have had to have gone 10 plus hours to drop her off because she's got to get there. If this is real, she's got to get there. But guess what? This friend of hers, she doesn't get out of the car, right? Think about that. She's just leaving a 13-year-old girl alone in Midtown. She doesn't even want to get out of the car. She came all that way. There can't be a witness there. She can't have a witness there because this never happened.
Amazon hates this.
Amazon hates this. So hold on real quick before you resume, Will.
You ask yourself.
Well, all right, no. Let me say, okay, wait. About the 10-hour drive. Well, maybe I should I'll let him finish his point and then I'll say something. Go ahead, Will.
But how did she end up in the car in the first place? And so she creates this story. She says, I snuck out the window, right? But now we know she came from Rochester. So she would have been sneaking out of the window at 3 p.m. in the middle of broad daylight. Never heard of such a thing, defies common sense, doesn't make any sense because this never happened. And so she tells this story because she's got to create a way that she gets out of the house and ends up in New York City. And as we keep going here, the friend that implausibly leaves her there, there's then some pressure on that part of the story because it doesn't make any sense. And so the lawyer is asked, well, just produce the friend. And so he has to find somebody that can make this work. And of course, as soon as he's pressed, they find somebody who they say is no longer alive. They can't corroborate it, and there's nobody to talk to. Okay, and if we can keep going. Next slide. So she then gets there, right? And she has this vivid tale of watching it on a Jumbotron. It's in her complaint. Clear as day. There was no Jumbotron that year. Okay? I don't know whether they were Googling images and found the wrong year. I don't know whether she's just making it up out of whole cloth. There is no Jumbotron. In fact, they didn't even get a permit, according to the police and the city, for the Jumbotron that year. So that didn't happen. None of the details are right because this never happened. If we can keep going. And then she says, I'm knocking on the doors and the windows of limousines and VIPs. Of course, that doesn't work either. If you look at the video, photographs, that whole area was blocked off. We've spoken to numerous people there that were in security. No one could have gotten anywhere near those cars because this never happened. She gets that fact wrong. And you know the whole story about, of all people, she knocks on Puff's window. 13-year-old girl in Midtown by herself. Just think about that. Think about how illogical that is.
Pause it, Will. So again, I don't think that a 13-year-old is illogical in New York City. And maybe I have that wrong, you know what I'm saying? But I can tell you in the cities in which I grew up in proximity to, Baltimore City and Washington, D.C., very much not uncommon for 13-year-olds to be on the metro, on the bus, on the train, in the mall, any fucking where at the harbor. Like this idea that somehow a 13-year-old would not be in New York City alone. I mean, again, that doesn't, it shouldn't happen. Yes. But howsomever, especially in the year 2000, you know, those young millennials, y'all feral as a motherfucker too. Like some of y'all anyway, the old ones. But you know, hey, some kids was out there. Some kids was defiant. Some kids weren't well supervised. I think there's a myriad of reasons how a 13-year-old could be there. And even the issue, and I will say this, like some of the points that Spiro is making here gives you something to think about, right? And I agree with the general statement. If it doesn't make sense, then it's probably not true. And there are some things that may not make a whole lot of sense as it pertains to her story. But I'm factoring in the amount of time that's passed, what the trauma Jane Doe says she endured, the fact that she was or claims to have been assaulted by two men under the influence, and has some developmental issues. I think a lot of that can factor into how this story is arriving at how it is. Jay-Z, though, I will say this because I had said before in the statement that he himself issued, Jay-Z, in response to being named as part of this civil lawsuit, Jay-Z had said that, well, let me rephrase. He never said that he wasn't there. Right. In his whole statement, he talked about how heinous of an accusation it was. He called Busby all kinds of names, said he would never do such a thing, but he never said he wasn't there. And now his attorney is saying that he was not there. But again, the attorney's explanation for him not being there doesn't make sense either. Well, he was at a commercial establishment. Okay, you expect me to believe that he was at the same club all night long on the after party of the night of the VMAs? I don't believe that. I believe them niggas moved around. That's what them niggas do. They show their face everywhere. So and so's having a party. Yo, we gotta go over to the Fat Joe party, and then fucking Swiss Beats is having a party. Like, miss me with the Jay-Z was at the Lotus all night long. God damn it. I mean, especially if his man's Diddy was having a mansion party. You think Jay wasn't coming to the Diddy mansion party? Get the fuck out of here. All right. Go ahead, Will. We're not doing too much more, Mr. Sparrow, but I'm gonna let him finish his point, and then we going to listen to one more thing, and then we're gonna move along.
And this is Eminem performing in the streets, no jumbotron, all the cars barricaded. Her facts don't check out because this never happened. We keep going. So what ends up happening then, and this is important, is her original account in the original complaint says that at 9:30 or 10. She's told to wait there to get a ride to the after party. Okay, that also doesn't work because there's photographs now of Mr. Combs, Mr. Carter at commercial establishments in New York after the VMAs. So this narrative of at 10 o'clock she ends up at this party can't work. They got caught. So they change it in the amended complaint that there's this multiple drop off and pickup that lands them at this White House that doesn't exist. So as we continue, this is again her account of trying to change the story into this multiple drop-off period to get them at the house to deal with the fact that there's photographic evidence that that's not where the after party was in the first place. And so as this account continues.
Hey, everyone, let's get real for a second.
Sorry.
AI is
yeah.
You have to look at the timeline. You have to look at the timeline. So there's an old expression that time doesn't lie. Everything else that I'm talking about, these glaring inconsistencies, these are not minor inconsistencies. These are not minor problems with this story. This is utter falsehoods. Time never lies. And so if you look at the time, no matter what, this couldn't have happened. It's not even possible that this happened. And this is so important. So again, now that we know that it's a 5-hour drive in each direction, how she gets to the VMAs, okay, we're going to talk in some detail about this White House and whether or not they could have gotten there. And then again, Doe returns home to Rochester, Okay, and this is very important because she returns home. She has to leave the New York area by 1:30 in the morning at the latest. Okay, if you look at any of these White Houses and you look at the closest gas stations that could be to any of these White Houses, you have to leave this White House party by 12:45 in order to get to the gas station at 1:30 to call your father to pick you up to get home to Rochester at 6:30. So remember, she only has till 12:45 for everything that she says to have happened. The VMAs end at after 11. So you're talking about a window of a little more than an hour that this could possibly have happened even by their own account. And she says during that little bit more than an hour, not only does she get to the house, not only is she inside mingling with celebrities, she has a drink. She's then sexually assaulted in front of an adult female multiple times. She gets out of that. She fights through it. She leaves the house naked. She gets all the way to the gas station. She had 37 minutes to possibly do this. Okay, even under their account. Okay.
So,
And of
okay, well,
course,
that's good. That's
the
good for
biggest
that
problem-
segment. So go ahead and take it up to the time code, but let me say a couple things in the middle here. So regarding the timeline, from what I understand, I think Mr. Spiro is playing a little fast and loose with the reported facts here. From what I understood, the father of Jane Doe was reported to have been picking her up from said gas station at dawn or as the sun was coming up. So I think he has his details a bit misconstrued about when she was supposed to have been there and the duration, etc. But also, this whole notion that there was only a small window, 37 minutes allowed for this alleged assault to have occurred. And I would just like to point to the recent allegations and civil suit that was settled in her favor of E. Jean Carroll versus Donald Trump, where I believe Miss Carroll asserts that the former president sexually assaulted her in a dressing room. Where was it? Bloomingdale's, Barney's, somewhere schmancy. However, I think she said the assault lasted about 5 minutes, right? Like it wasn't no fucking marathon thing, and nor does rape have to be. It doesn't matter if that shit took 30 seconds or 37 minutes. A grape is a grape, right? Again, Spiro's earning his money out here. I will give it to him. You know what I'm saying? He's fucking laying out a case. But if me, the layest of laypersons, if I'm like, I don't know about that, sir. And again, I agree. The shit sounds, there are elements of this that absolutely sound out there. But what doesn't sound out there to me is that a very visible, successful, desirable man would and could assault a teenager. Like that to me is absolutely on the table. Like it's the other details that are sounding sketch, but what Jane Doe was asserting to me does not sound like a stretch. Again, because these motherfuckers is weird. They are perverse. They are inhumane. And for him again to repeat the fact that there was an adult woman present watching the assault of this lady. If the adult woman is the celebrity that he keeps name dropping throughout this press conference, very unsubtly, by the way, hello, she is a fucking weirdo too. Like J-Lo strikes me as somebody that would absolutely make a deal with the dark one in order in exchange for fame and riches. And by any subjective method, listen, y'all, if you have been watching J-Lo's career for the past 20 some years, doesn't a deal with the devil really make fucking sense? Doesn't it make sense that this broad would be into some fucking, secret society ritualistic shit in exchange for her big name, her big A-list career? Because baby, The acting, the singing, where is it? Where is it? The talents on those two things do not match the level of success that she has been afforded. I'm sorry. J-Lo ain't A-list level talent actress nor singer, and yet. Now, what is J-Lo's major talent that we will forever give J-Lo props for? What, y'all? The bitch can wear some fucking clothes, okay? Give her the Oscar every year for best goddamn dress. If there is a Grammy for best dress, give that shit to her, okay? Because that's about her best goddamn talent. She be looking flawless. Goddamn, J-Lo be looking good as a motherfucker. That bitch can't sing nor act worth a damn. How in the hell she A-list? Deal with the devils. Bitch is weirdo. Okay, weirdo. And she does allegedly, in my opinion, weirdo pick-mishas would absolutely be down or be silent to remain close to the motherfuckers that are pulling the levels of power and who are super influential in the business. So, Will, yeah, you advance it to that next time code, brother, because so this was another interesting aspect of the Alex Spiro press conference, right? And this is the clip that caught people's attention. They was like, "Oh, since when? Since when?" So, because in Jay-Z's self-authored statement after he was named in this lawsuit, he glaringly omitted any mention of Diddy. And ever since Diddy has been in all this shit, ever since Diddy got his dough kicked in, ever since the video of Diddy brutalizing Cassie, ever since Diddy been locked up at MDOC, ever since, his homie ain't said shit. His homie ain't said, hold your head. His homie ain't said, we're going to let the courts see what Jay-Z has not said a fucking thing about what is going on with Diddy. And so his attorney, finally, somebody asked the question. And Alex Spiro's answer has been getting a reaction. Go ahead, Will. Thank you.
Right. Will Mr. Carter say anything more specifically about Mr. Combs? He didn't really address him in his statement, but anything since outlets and internet speculation have tried to affiliate the two of them, he didn't really, in his statement, specifically say anything about any of the allegations.
I mean, Mr. Carter has nothing to do with Mr. Combs' case or Mr. Combs. They knew each other professionally for a number of years, just like in all professions. People know each other. At the music awards, they support each other. If you go to the NBA All-Star game, they support each other. That's just how professions work. There is no closer association between any of them. That's also a matter of fiction. That's all that there is. He doesn't know anything about the charges or allegations against him. He has nothing to do with that case. And there's nothing more to say. Yes.
If there was no filing before, even after there's a second.
That's good. Thank you, Will. That's good for that. Thank you so much. Yep. Jay-Z's lawyer said, Jay-Z don't even know Diddy. What is you talking about? Yeah, he done dapped the nigga up at the NBA All-Star game. He don't really know him. Nigga, please. Miss me. That statement is so loaded with lies. Just like when the national security nigga John Kirby is saying, the shit is flying around in the air. Y'all don't even need to worry about. Don't even look at that shit. That shit ain't nothing. That is hilarious that Jay-Z is now putting that or attempting to put that much distance between he and Diddy, as though we have not seen them niggas kicking it strong for 30 whole fucking years, right? And he's saying that they was never good friends. There are so many clips, and I wasn't able to grab them from TikTok, but if you're curious, they exist. They are out there, and as I know that you all know that they exist, where Jay-Z and Diddy repeatedly refer to each other as my brother. Yo, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? Word up. Shout out to Jay-Z. That's my brother. That's my brother. That's my brother. Like, you know, whenever I get in trouble, the only person that can call me, that's Diddy talking. Y'all like my Diddy, huh? The only person who can call me Sean is Sean. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody else call me Sean by my name except for my mother and Sean Carter. That's what Diddy said. There's an interview floating around from y'all, you know, yesteryear, where that's all these niggas was in love. Like, these niggas had the broest of bromances, and here is Jay-Z putting all kinds of distance between him and Diddy, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And this is why even in spite of the inconsistencies, and let me be clear here, guys, if it turns out that Jane Doe and her attorneys have concocted a falsehood, I'd be the first one to eat crow. I'd be the first one to come on here and be like, I got that wrong, y'all. I miscalled that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no point of clinging desperately to a lie. For what? No, that doesn't work for me. Like, I'm in pursuit of truth here. But the fact that the birds of the feathers they have a tendency to stick together, and there is no doubt in my mind that Diddy is likely guilty of all the things that he is being accused of and more, right? I'm thinking about the people that haven't come forward, that haven't said shit, right? And again, same with Cosby. Dog, it can't be this many fucking accusers and everybody lying. You understand? So if Jay-Z is brothers with Diddy, like I totally believe that they did more than just socialize together. I believe they vacationed together. I believe they spent time at each other's homes. I believe a lot of shit about the closeness of their relationship. And not just for public appearances. You know what I'm saying? I believe that they were business associates and personal associates, close brothers, as they have both said. So if that's your brother, Jay-Z, let's assume for a second Jay-Z's not the rapist. Why the fuck do you kick it with the rapists? Why is that your man's? Again, assuming Jay-Z's not the rapist, Jay-Z's never heard of what goes on or what is alleged to have gone on at Diddy's freak-offs. Jay-Z's never heard about people being inebriated to the point that they're not able to consent. Him and Beyonce was never given the fuzzy slippers to come in the house and see what was going on. They never walked in on none of that shit. That's a lie. I don't believe that at all. In a friendship of 30 plus years, no way in the world. No way in the world. So, who's about to start singing? Who about to sing? Who is about to sing? I'm sure Diddy has tried to reach out to Jay-Z since he's been incarcerated, right? In some form of fashion. I don't know if it was to conspire. I don't know if it was for support. And Jay-Z knows how radioactive Sean Combs is right now. And I'm sure he sent Diddy ass to voicemail every goddamn time. No question about that. So does Diddy now have any incentive to remain loyal to Jay-Z, to hold his secrets? Maybe they have to hold each other's secrets in order to, keep the self-preservation going. Like, in spite of Jay-Z publicly turning his back on Diddy, Diddy's still going to have to uphold the lie, because Diddy, again, continues to deny all allegations. All the shit is false. The same way he denied the allegations made by Cassie until the video came out. And y'all, the videos are going to come out. But in this instance, and by the way, I do not think that this is going to be the only accusation made about Jay-Z. And I think that the tactics alleged by Tony Busby, Jane Doe's attorney, of harassment, of stalking, allegedly, by private investigators, possibly hired by Jay-Z's law firm, that absolutely could intimidate more people out of coming forward. but there's strength in numbers. And I think all the Diddy accusers are going to embolden more folks to come forward. And if Jaguar is to be believed, which by the way, while I was tremendously disappointed to hear her speak favorably about Donald Trump, I mean, not in the way that we when we laugh at Trump or when we notice when Trump occasionally gets things right. I don't mean in that same way, right? No, she was like, what did she say? Something about being misrepresented, and if our president, Donald J. Trump, if he can be misrepresented and be lied on, like I'm being lied, like she was really likening her sacrifice and her struggle to Donald Trump. I'm like, oh Jesus, okay, maybe my sis has gone off. maybe it's going off the rails. But as it pertains to the allegations that she's made and the names that she's dropped, my girl has got a batting average that is pretty impressive. Okay. She has not been born out to be a liar, at least as it pertains to Diddy and it pertains to Jay-Z. At least she alleged that somebody would be making an accusation against him, and they have. So I don't know. So, but going back to why so much of this lady's accusations, I can't throw them away because of how rape culture works and all the things that this attorney is using to discredit her, in my opinion, are very understandable. Not coming out and disclosing for many decades is not uncommon. That happens. There are people who experienced sexual trauma in their childhood and are old people now, have never told nobody, and haven't told anybody and never considered going to the police, right? Again, this whole idea that police take rape seriously, that they pursue it with any vigor, that just tells me that we have been propagandized too deeply by Law and Order SVU. And I understand. Everybody would love to think that Detective Benson is gonna come and believe and pursue and advocate and all that shit. That is not how policing works. It's a patriarchal institution. So by extension, it's going to take up for the patriarchy. Who are the majority of alleged and accused rapers? Are men. So, I mean, it makes sense that police don't pursue male rapists because bitches be lying. Because bitches be lying. Why would the police waste their time when bitches be lying? And if you don't believe me that the police don't take sexual assault seriously, Google untested rape kits in your state. And if you want a doozy, put Tennessee in there. I mean, you could insert your state and see how many untested rape kits there are. I would assume there would be some at minimum, right? But Tennessee has been particularly egregious in letting rape kits languish. And when they started testing them after having not tested them for at least a year's time, this is going back a couple years, but the story is very Googleable. They found a number of serial rapists. Funny how that works. oh, but the only way you can catch the serial rapist is if you fucking go look for him, though, cops. And they don't. They're not interested in pursuing. And someone that is powerful, like a Sean Combs, like a Jay-Z, like a Jeffrey Epstein, man, cops don't want that headache because they got to deal with the likes of Alex Spiros out there, right? So come on, let's stop playing as though people who survive, men, women, and gender nonconforming people who survive and endure sexual assault, that the law is a safe space for them. Let's stop pretending that even survivors' families are safe spaces for them. Let's stop pretending that we live in a culture that's empathetic towards survivors. We don't. That empathy is just starting to crack through a little bit, a tiny bit. So it's not implausible for me that this could have happened. So what Jay-Z's attorney has done, they have requested an expedited hearing through the courts New York Southern District Federal Court, and they're going to petition the judge to get this case dismissed based off these inconsistencies. And I really hope the judge doesn't do that. I really think that this case ought to be given the opportunity to have witnesses deposed, Jay-Z included, Diddy included, everyone that's alleged, whoever the unnamed female celebrity is who can't sing, whoever her might be, this should go through the process. And I don't think inconsistencies like the ones named, given the circumstances of the victim's age, their frame of mind, their mental acuity, and the duration of time that has passed, all of those things to me can explain some of those inconsistencies, and it should not be enough to dismiss, in my opinion. Thank y'all for the funk, for y'all being here. I'm going to move it along really quick to my next story, but I wanted to recognize some people we have with us. I like to say hello to Chichi Macha. I like to say hello to Leah Boggs. I will also like to say, what's up? Hold on. I'm off. I'm fucking up. Vicky Blues. Thank yous to yous for your support. Teresa P. Thank you, Teresa P. Teresa P ran us bucks like 2 weeks ago. And because, let me tell y'all, this PayPal app is trash. Okay. Like the Cash app is legit. But the PayPal app is a garbage. Oh, no wonder I'm in the wrong fucking Cash app. I'm like, why don't I see the shit? The PayPal app is trash. It doesn't give me notifications, and I have to log. And that's the thing. The PayPal app I have to log into the bitch every time. And I'm like, this is a fail because I'm never going to remember the password. I'm constantly having to reset the password because I can't never remember that shit. And it's preposterous that they make me log in every goddamn time. I'm like, I'm never going to remember this shit. So anyway, Teresa P, I literally just saw your support that you sent today because I checked the PayPal. I was like, oh, you can't. So thank you to Teresa P. Thank you. And hold on, we had some others. Give me a second here. I am going to go into the Cash App. I didn't realize I was logged out. By the way, guys, I keep all my shit separate from the channel. Like, so don't think that anything that you send, I'm buying Bagheera's CBD with that. No, I'm not. It is, and by the way, we do operate as a co-op, even though I am not 100% clear as to what a co-op is. Will, come on here real quick. You familiar with the co-op? Do we operate as a co-op? Would you say, what is that? So what, everything that y'all send, we pay bills out of. What are the bills? We pay for Adobe Suite, pay for StreamYard, Restream, we pay for a couple other things. But after the bills, I split everything with Will and Molly three ways. Is that how co-op works? Is that co-op-ish?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, look at us.
Little co-op-y.
It's a little co-op, a little wop.
What I was thinking about when Shapiro was talking was, this is a lot of effort and energy to dismiss a 13-year-old from Westchester or Rochester, New York.
Dog, but this is Jay-Z's reputation. This is reputation, no homies. This is reputation. Yeah. The money is on the line.
When more people come out, are they gonna, because this ain't the first one. Like, are they gonna keep the same energy? That's really what I was thinking.
I think they are. Jay-Z told y'all in 99 Problems, he said, I got a few dollars, I can fight the case. He got a few dollars, he gonna fight. And listen, while I can poke a couple holes, right? And listen, and I don't disagree that innocent people should defend themselves. And let me say this is a point I actually meant to make that I didn't. But let me say this real quick. So the revelation, or the and I haven't watched her interview, but I understand this is what was said. But the woman who had accused the Duke lacrosse players of rape some almost 20 years ago, I believe she came out recently and says that she made it up. And I even think Trump punk ass mentioned that shit in a recent press conference and how it ruined the lives of these boys. First of all, I need evidence of that. I need proof that lives was ruined, because those kinds of folks lives do not get ruined, and they were exonerated in the legal system, if I'm not mistaken. But my point is, that's another aspect of rape culture. It will seize upon the false allegation, and as though that is the standard of people who make accusations of sex assault. Oh, well, see, this one person lied. Okay, out of thousands, millions. And by the way, the statistics bear out that of reported sexual assaults, I think the number is about 3%, a very small amount, less than 10%, end up being untrue. But that is even an inaccurate number, because most sexual assaults are not reported. So that's a number of false accusations are a small fraction of the ones that are actually reported. It does not encompass total assaults committed, right? So if this lady who accused the Duke lacrosse players came out and told a story, a false story, she is the exception. She is not the rule. That is not how most sex assaults go down. And here's the thing. Her story to me was even more believable than this lady who's accusing Jay-Z, because I could totally see a Black sex worker going into a predominantly young white male intoxicated space, charged with privilege and testosterone, and that she would end up assaulted. Like that makes way more sense than old girl to me. So, but it's unfortunate that she made a false accusation. From what I understand, this young woman has had a very difficult life, and a lot of difficulty in her life circumstances. So I don't know what her motivations was, but don't let one false accusation represent to you what most survivors experience and go through. Like that would be deeply inaccurate to do that. So anyway, so let's get into some other shit. Let's get into some gangster shit. Let's talk about these punk ass cops out here. Do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe to us here at Burn It Down with Kim Brown. You guys, give me a Kwanzaa present and get me to 7,000 subscribers by the new year. That would be dope. I'd appreciate it. We're 100 and some change away. So if you could help us get to 7,000 subscribers, that would be schmantastic. Thank you so very much. So, in the wake of the tragic murder in 2020 of Breonna Taylor in her Louisville, Kentucky apartment, shot and killed by Louisville police, her boyfriend, who returned fire, initially charged, even though he was fully in his legal castle doctrine rights to bear his weapon and to fire his weapon. He was charged, and those charges eventually dismissed, but Breonna obviously was unalived. The federal government, particularly the Department of Justice, decided to launch an investigation into the police department. Why? Primarily because most of these officers, if not all of them, failed to be brought up on charges by the state of Kentucky, Commonwealth of Kentucky. So the feds intervened. And this week, the Department of Justice announced that they are entering into a consent decree with the LMPD. Louisville, what's the M stand for? Louisville Metropolitan Police Department. And what they have alleged from the Louisville Police Department is obviously egregious. And I'm going to play a bit from the press conference in which the DOJ representative goes through some of the things that the Louisville police are accused to have done in the community, not only systematically, but historically, right? And the one part of this I'm not going to play is Merrick Garland, who opened the press conference, breaking his arm to pat himself on the back, going over the types of things that the Louisville police are accused of doing, including routinely violating the First and Fourth Amendments of Louisville citizens, particularly Black citizens, of violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, for violating the Safe Streets Act, for violating parts of the Civil Rights Act, for basically breaking the fucking law up and down, as Kalechi would say, up and down, up and down. They just break the law up and fucking down. And this is typical. Anytime the Department of Justice has entered into consent decree with police departments across the country, the litany of their transgressions, it seems to be like it all around the world. It's the same song. Like the location changes, the lyrics don't change, the melody changes, but the lyrics stay the same, right? It's the same shit across the board. You would almost think that all these police departments are engaged in the routine violation of the constitutional and civil rights of Black and brown people as a part of their practice, as a part of their training. It's amazing how all of these fucking police departments, from region to region, from city to state, from urban to rural to suburban, these motherfuckers are doing the same shit. Why is that? None of these motherfuckers is getting the training, but that must be the remedy, because that is what the Department of Justice is suggesting, that they get more training. But okay, but I want y'all to hear what the Louisville police are accused of doing in the community of Louisville, Kentucky. Will, if we could go to the Department of Justice press conference, please.
People of Louisville. For the last 2 years, the Justice Department has led an exhaustive investigation in Louisville to determine whether Louisville Metro government and the Louisville Police Department engaged in a pattern or practice of conduct that violated the Constitution or federal law. We left no stone unturned, and we found that LMPD routinely seeks search warrants for residences without establishing legal justification for invading someone's home. Officers regularly seek warrants that are overly broad, sweeping in people who have at most a remote connection to the investigation, who have committed no crime, harbor no evidence, and have a constitutional right to not be subject to unreasonable search and seizure. Officers also violated the law when they act on these warrants by unjustifiably barging into people's homes without knocking and announcing their presence. And they often serve these warrants at night. These tactics are dangerous. Officers can be misidentified as intruders, and they may misinterpret shock and surprise as a threat.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance, so I saved hundreds.
They be killing us on this shit.
Of this puts the public at risk, and officers too. Officers also routinely conduct stops, searches, and arrests without the required constitutional justification. These tools are essential to enhance public safety, but when used without restraint, they turn into weapons of oppression, submission, and fear. We found that LMPD officers use excessive and dangerous tactics such as neck restraints, canines, and tasers, even against people who pose no imminent threat to the officer or others. We also found that officers misdirect their resources and violate fundamental principles of equal justice by selectively targeting and disproportionately subjecting Black residents to unlawful policing. LMPD disproportionately stops and cites Black drivers for minor traffic offenses. In fact, Black drivers were nearly twice as likely as white drivers to be cited for having one headlight out. Black drivers were nearly 4 times as likely as white drivers to be cited for improperly tinted windows. And Black drivers were nearly 5 times as likely as white drivers to be cited for improper tags. LMPD also disproportionately searches Black drivers who are stopped and cited. Even when comparing traffic stops where Black and white drivers were engaged in similar behavior before the stop, Black drivers were almost 50% more likely to be searched than whites. LMPD charges Black people at higher rates than white people for the same misdemeanor offenses. For example, LMPD charges Black people for loitering at more than 4 times the rate of white people, for disorderly conduct at 2.5 times the rate of white people, and for littering at 3 times the rate of white people. This pattern of racial discrimination fuels distrust and impedes the community's confidence in the LMPD and their law enforcement operations. LMPD's improper activity extends beyond use of force, street enforcement, and search warrants. We also found that LMPD often responds aggressively to people criticizing the police, both in routine day-to-day police encounters and during lawful demonstrations, and both before and after the racial justice protests that occurred in 2020. We saw unnecessarily aggressive behavior against people experiencing behavioral health crises. One person, a Black man with an apparent behavioral health disability, had more than 25 encounters with LMPD in less than 2 years. And in some of these interactions, LMPD officers needlessly escalated the situation and used unreasonable force. At times, they even mocked him. The man ultimately died in a Louisville Metro detention center after he had once again been arrested by LMPD. Such unnecessary escalation of encounters that could have and should have remained nonviolent was far too common. These findings are not based on any one incident or event. They turn on evidence showing long-standing dysfunction at LMPD. The pattern or practice of unlawful conduct compromises LMPD's ability to serve and protect safely, constitutionally, and effectively.
Pause that, Will.
Instead, LMPD has practiced
the pattern of practice of unlawful conduct sounds to me as though this police force needs to be disbanded. And I hate this lawyer speak, this fucking legalese, describing the way that LMPD engages with residents as dysfunctional, as though this has not been the way that it's functioned in its entire existence. So if it's functioning the way that it always has, then doesn't that imply that it's working the way that it's supposed to work? Police are the slave catchers. Yeah, they are fucking with Black folks for loitering, for littering, for tail lights out, for misbehaving in public due to mental health crisis. That is abhorrent. That a man died in prison or died in the detention center after 25 encounters with Louisville police in which they escalated the force against him and mocked him. And that is something that you cannot train out or into somebody. You cannot train them out of being deplorable pieces of shit. You cannot invoke them to humanity, because either you have it or you don't. That's a character thing. That's not someone can't teach you empathy or make you or train you to be empathetic by the time you are of age to become a police officer, right? That you are who the fuck you are. By the time you get on the streets, that's who you are. And if you're the kind of person that would antagonize, provoke, harass, abuse people or persons that are clearly disabled in some way, then that tells me you're a piece of shit. You have no business interacting or engaging with the public. And if residents of Louisville, Kentucky don't trust the police, well, the police have given them many generations of reasons why not to trust them. And the Department of Justice coming as Johnny and Jenny come latelys to the situation. While the documentation of all of these abuses is laudable, again, I don't believe that these consent decrees really do much but document the atrocities, right? But document the injustice. Because you can't make these motherfuckers do shit. Let's listen to a couple more minutes and then I'm gonna come back out of this. Will, thank you.
Extreme, misdirected, and counterproductive style of policing. And as Attorney General Garland noted, these findings give us reasonable cause to believe that Louisville Metro and LMPD engage in a pattern or practice of conduct that violates both the Constitution and federal law. Together, our findings have at their core a lack of effective management, training, and accountability. The Louisville Police Department can do better and will do better at respecting the civil rights of this community and better at working with the community to fight crime. Our investigation here was guided by a few core principles. First, policing in America, and particularly here in Louisville, is complex. We know that interactions with members of the public don't happen in a vacuum. Dynamics like racial segregation, poverty, and violence all affect how officers do their job. Second, being a police officer is hard and dangerous work.
No, it isn't.
Officers are often faced with complex, fast-paced situations which at times threaten their lives and the lives of others.
Bullshit.
And third, members of the public may see the police in different ways. Some see the police as pillars of the social order who get us through the worst days of their lives. Others view the police with skepticism and worry that any encounter poses the risk of being unfairly targeted and victimized. With all of these realities in mind, again, our efforts were exhaustive. We talked to hundreds of people across the city. We rode with officers in their cars on patrol. We spoke with city and union officials, judges and attorneys, advocacy groups, religious leaders, and community members from different walks of life. And along with our experts, we reviewed thousands of documents regarding LMPD's enforcement activities, and we watched thousands of hours of body-worn camera footage. We know sustainable police reform requires going beyond mere surface level changes. It requires digging deep into the root causes of systemic problems. It requires creative ideas from many sources that can help LMPD and Louisville Metro achieve their public safety mission in line with the Constitution, federal law.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
Don't hate us. Don't hate us. That's fine, Will. That's enough. That's quite enough. All right. Thank you so much, Will. Yeah, we're done with her. I wanted to bring up one thing. So Breonna Taylor was murdered by Louisville police in 2020. In the uprisings that came in the aftermath of that, there was a man that owned a barbecue, I believe in Louisville's West End. His name was David McAtee. McAtee. David McAtee. Google him. David McAtee owned this barbecue. David McAtee routinely would feed Louisville police. They knew him. When the uprisings came and the governor deployed the Kentucky National Guard into the Black neighborhoods of Louisville, Mr. McAtee was outside of his barbecue establishment. And for seemingly no reason, this man was not armed. He wasn't even participating in the protest. Again, he was outside of his establishment. Mr. McAtee was shot and killed by a member of the Kentucky National Guard. And 1 year after that, in 2021, it was decided that there would be no charges filed against this National Guardsman. And this is why all of this piecemeal neoliberalist reforms, consent decrees, these joints is less valuable than the Charmin that is sitting next to your toilet. You would be better off wiping your ass with these Department of Justice consent decrees because it does nothing to address the real issues of state sanctioned violence against Black people at any time for any reason by anyone who is deputized to keep the niggas in check. And this consent decree, it applies to Louisville and LMPD only, right? These are not nationalized standards that the Department of Justice is able to enact against all police departments. It can only do it this way, right? In these legally binding agreements. Well, I would imagine that these consent decrees are only as good as whichever administration happens to be in office at the time. And while I have no faith nor confidence in Democratic leadership, especially from the Biden White House, when it pertains to issues like this, I have even less confidence in the incoming Trump administration. Trump don't give a fuck if these police out here shoot and kill every goddamn Black and brown person. Hey, you should comply, says Trump, right? The felon. Regardless, when Trump comes in, we're not even going to get this. You're not going to even get no sort of documented report, no sort of quantitative, research or investigation into the systemic issues. But I guess at this point, you don't really need that shit, do you? Because it's basically copy and paste. Listening to this lady from the Department of Justice outline, their exhaustive efforts. They talked to hundreds of people. We rode along with officers. I'm reminded of when the Department of Justice under a different administration made the similar announcement about Baltimore police and how they rode in the cars with the officers. And the officers, by the way, was fully aware that they were being investigated and monitored by the Department of Justice as they did their investigation. And guess what Baltimore police did? They still fucked niggas up in front of the DOJ investigators, did all kinds of illegal shit in front of the DOJ investigators. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a single fucking shit. Okay? And don't expect that any of these police departments, Baltimore, New Orleans, who else been under consent? All of them been under consent decree. PG County, NYPD. Do they change? Do they still kill people? Do they still routinely violate people's rights? Yes, they do. All of this stuff done by the DOJ under liberal administration is performative because the Democrats / liberals have no interest in really doing anything to fundamentally change the way that policing is executed in this country, right? They talk about the dysfunction. That's a misnomer. That's a mischaracterization. It's not dysfunctional. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to constantly harass and imprison Black and brown people. Why? Because these states and cities have quotas with these private prisons for occupancy rates. It's a scam. It's a scheme. It's reimposed slavery, as we all know. So I just have to just shake my head and again say, burn it the fuck down. You cannot reform deviltry. The Satanists cannot be reformed. Okay. These are the choices. This is how they want to act. But the thing is, under the auspices of reform, what's Louisville police going to get? Oh, they're going to get more funding. Oh, they're going to get more training. Shout out to Renee Johnston. Is Louisville on the cop city coming list, right? Of the many, many municipalities and cities that either are constructing new cop cities or proposing new cop cities. It wouldn't shock me if Louisville, if they haven't already been slated for one. Oh, well, They need better facilities. They need better supervision. So that equals more money. Okay. And here's the fucking problem. The cops already get the lion's share of the money to begin with. And the reason why mental health issues can't be addressed, the reason why a Black man experiencing mental health crisis has 25 encounters with the police is because America would rather fund the police than universal health care. Okay. This man can't get the care that he needs because America is more interested in imprisoning him and harassing and torturing him until he dies. So whatever needs to happen for that system to be done for, then that's what the fuck needs to happen. And I say, what? Burn it down until it's smoldering in ashes, okay? The way that Minnesotans and Minneapolisans did that precinct. Oh, let me calm down. Hold on. Let me relax. Wait, I was about to let me reel that back because I forgot. I'm at somebody else's house. I'm in fucking YouTube land. I'm on Google's property. Let me calm down before they remind me that this is not your place, Kim. We let you rent a room here. This is not your house. So you better watch your mouth. I'll do that. I know what time it is. Let me show y'all other ways in which these cops be thugging, okay? Not Louisville police. This time it's the feds themselves. Department of Justice. Hold on. Why y'all looking at niggas? Why don't you go look at them crooked ass Department of the Drug Enforcement Administration? Because it seems that the DEA has been routinely robbing people at the airport. Did y'all know this? So y'all probably did know this. And I wanted to bring this up because I was so fascinated by this. So it doesn't matter which one you queue up one of them videos because of actual journalists. Let me credit. I think it was Atlanta News Now is one of the outlets that has been pursuing this investigative piece for at least a couple of years about how DEA agents would target airline passengers who were carrying large amounts of cash, though traveling domestically. Now, if you travel international, you know that you can't take more than what? Is it 10 grand? Cash, right? Currency. You can't move international with more than 10 grand on your person. But guess what? When you fly in domestically, when you move in within the United States, you can carry as much money as you motherfucking want. Did you know that? I did not know that. So apparently the DEA, in cahoots with some gate agents, were targeting passengers who were carrying large amounts of cash and just robbing them. Now, the news may say confiscate, or they may use a different term. The term we like to properly use here, kids, is strong arm robbery. It's strong arm. What's the difference between strong arm and armed robbery? Well, armed robbery obviously implies the use of a weapon, but strong arm says, give me that shit or else. The threat is implied. A weapon does not need to be visible. We'll go ahead and run one. We got two packages here. So go ahead, run one of them jumps.
Happening is these DEA, these federal drug agents, once inside the terminal, are coming to people that they believe are traveling with large amounts of cash. Come to find out these people aren't drug dealers. They haven't done anything wrong. But they take their bags, they search their bags, and they confiscate all of the cash. And they tell them basically, we can ask you more questions, you might miss your flight, or you can just give us the bag. And a lot of these people give up their bags with the cash inside.
My bag went through TSA and they pulled it to the side. And when they pulled it to the side, I kind of joked with my husband. I said, hey, did I leave water in my bag or something? You know, 'cause I never imagined that it was about the money. In comes the DEA. And they started asking us, you know, where'd the money come from? They brought dogs to sniff us, sniff the money, sniff everything. They said that since our story didn't add up, they were gonna seize the money. They didn't count the money or anything. They just took it. They said you can get it back when you can prove that, you know, what you're telling us is true. And that was it. The guy handed us a business card and sent us on our way. I was nervous. I was humiliated. I was, just a whole spectrum of emotions because it was something that, I've never had more than a parking ticket. So for me, this was like, really, really frightening. The next day, my husband and I called a lawyer in North Carolina because we live in Florida, so we didn't know anybody, but we just Googled a lawyer in North Carolina, and he basically told us, this happens and it's going to cost you more to fight it than to just let it go. And I'm thinking, let it go. That's a lot of money. That was a down payment on a house or a business, or that's a lot of money. So I wasn't willing to just let it go.
This has been going on for years. There have been thousands of people involved. There's been this investigation by the Department of Justice Inspector General that just concluded about a week and a half ago, where they said there are significant concerns with this program. They have now halted the program. So they're not going to be doing this anymore in the airport as of the last week and a half. But the issue is a lot of these people still haven't been able to get their money back.
The DEA needs to have guidelines in place of when a search or an interrogation or even a seizure is deemed necessary. There has to be some type of probable cause. Without it, it's just an invasion of privacy and of our rights.
So I think the protocols that this robbery victim, is suggesting, there's already protocols in place. It's called the U.S. Constitution. That is a Fourth Amendment violation against illegal search and seizure. It's a law. It exists. The DEA are federal agents. They are sworn to uphold and protect the Constitution. But yet none of these fucking agents of the state either seem to know what's my man, how to Cube say it in Boys in the Hood. Either they don't know, they don't show, or they don't care about the motherfucking Constitution. They don't give a goddamn about the Constitution. And for God's sakes, they out here robbing white people. Black people rolling with money stood no chance. If they out here robbing white women in front of her husband, Jesus, these thugs, jackbooted thugs. So what they were doing, the DEA agents, is something that's commonly known as civil asset forfeiture, meaning that when the police encounter you and they feel like robbing you, I know there's a more proper legal definition of civil asset forfeiture, but it's robbery, it's coercion, it's strong arm theft. There's no other way around it. Civil asset forfeiture is the nice way to put it, that you've been robbed by the police, and good luck getting your shit back. So what can we deduce that what was the DEA doing with all of this cash? Surely, if this was a program that they have been doing for 20 years, is that what I heard? The reporter said that there were thousands of people affected, and they wasn't robbing niggas who had a few $100s in their pocket. No. They was going for the thousands. You know what I'm saying? They was if you had thousands, the DEA was coming to rob you right before you got on your airplane, right before you took your trip. The DEA was about to relieve you of your play money. And in some people's cases, it wasn't they fucking play money. It was money that they were counting on for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter the reason. So I want us to go and we'll go ahead and cue up that Atlanta News Now joint. And we're not going to watch the whole thing. I'm only going to do maybe about 2 or 3 minutes again, because it's fascinating and unsurprising. And a reminder, as much as many legitimately are concerned and are fearful of the pending Trump administration, baby, this is how the cops be all the time, everywhere, regardless of who is in the White House, regardless of who is Attorney General of the Department of Justice, regardless of who is the mayor, who is the fucking governor. This is American policing up and down across the board, routinely breaking their own rules, disregarding public safety, causing and becoming threats and menaces to the public for no goddamn reason. And most importantly, not solving any fucking crimes, not being able to legitimately justify their existence, their budgets, their raison d'etre, you know what I'm saying? Their whole reason to be. They have none except to oppress the people. It's fucked up. And again, white people. Y'all, look how they doing you. I mean, we do black people, we know this, but god damn, when they doing the whites like this, you know the shit is out of control. Well, go ahead and run that Atlanta News Now joint, and I'll let you know when to stop. But again, the shit is fucking bananas. It's crazy.
The people you see behind me are passengers. There appear to be no more drug agents hiding in plain sight. They've been ordered to stop because of one passenger's video that would never have been recorded had he not watched our investigation.
You're either going to sign a consent form saying that you're allowing us to search them.
Whatever you guys are doing in this airport,
or I'm going to detain them.
Is totally wrong.
Run my dog on it and get a search warrant.
I'm a random search, guys.
I didn't feel like I could have said no.
So those white folks, and I'm the random search.
No, there's no way this is random.
Innocent passengers searched at the gate by plainclothes drug agents looking to seize cash.
You're taking people's money based off an assumption.
I work hard for my money. How many innocent people do you have to search before you find what you're looking for?
Sir, I've got nothing to say to you.
The DEA still hasn't answered our questions, but this 2-year Atlanta News First investigation, why do people have to prove themselves innocent, would lead to a single incident that would end the entire program nationwide.
Oh, that's my. Hey, that's yours. Where's your bag at?
I don't consent to search, sir.
You don't have to consent. Where's your backpack at? Where is it? Under your seat?
It got put away, but I don't consent to being searched.
I don't care what your consent stuff.
Had you not seen our investigation, what would you have done?
I would have just assumed that it was part of a standard screening procedure and consented to the search.
David recorded the incident on the very same phone where he had watched our investigation in plain sight. He stopped recording only to double check the article so he could stand up for his rights.
I didn't consent to be searched. Like I dried off the plane here. Is that accurate?
You walked off the plane. I didn't drag you off. I took your bag off the plane. So
you took the bag off my plane.
Okay. Tell your story. Back to detained, not you. Yeah, you're trying this legal stuff. It's not going to work, dude.
This particular passenger said no, did not give consent, correct, and the task force officer removed his bag from the plane anyway.
And to do that, the agent needed reasonable suspicion.
The Inspector General of the U.S. Department of Justice reopened his investigation of the DEA's airport cold consent encounters after seeing the video David recorded.
We wouldn't do this and be doing it across the country if it wasn't legal.
Without the subject thinking to immediately use their cell phone to record the event, we certainly wouldn't have known about it. In fact, we clearly wouldn't have known about it because absent that video, there was no record of the incident.
The DEA had no record because agents didn't find drugs or cash in David's bag.
The DEA wasn't keeping records of its encounters unless it found cash or drugs.
And they promised you they would.
And they promised us after our first report a decade ago they would.
Once they learned of your latest investigation, they were going back and filling out these reports from months earlier?
It turned out because they hadn't found any cash or drugs when they did the search of that individual, they hadn't prepared any paperwork at the time. When we began our investigation and asked for the paperwork, that's when months later they started creating paperwork trying to lay out why they did what they did.
David's name was put on a DEA list because he bought a last-minute ticket.
When you buy a last-minute ticket, we get alerts.
In some cases, the only reason for the so-called cold consent encounter was a purchase of a last-minute ticket. I purchased a last-minute ticket to come interview you.
Approaching individuals based solely on that basis without any lead, any other information to suggest they might be a drug courier or money launderer was concerning.
The Inspector General discovered David's last-minute ticket was reported to the DEA by an airline employee who was a regular paid informant. A single commercial airline employee received tens of thousands of dollars, effectively a cut of the money seized.
It turned out that the individual was getting a percentage of the amount seized on multiple occasions over a longer period of time.
Informants are being paid with confiscated property from searches that the informants triggered with no real evidence. It's obvious why that's a potential abuse and a potential violation of civil rights.
U.S. Senator John Ossoff of Georgia launched
that
his
nigga.
own inquiry with the
That shit
Department
off.
of Justice.
That's good. Fuck John Ossoff. We don't give a fuck what John Ossoff got to say about shit. Vespa X already told us John Ossoff wasn't shit out here down there in Georgia. Thank you, Vesper. We appreciate that. So DEA have been robbing airline travelers for an undetermined amount of time, making unknown amount of seizures of unknown quantities of cash currency. We don't know how many people they actually harassed and searched in total because they weren't keeping track of their own numbers, which, by the way, is another facet of American policing. They, as a wholesale institution at the federal, state, and local level, not interested in a whole bunch of data collection because the data, the numbers would show very, very terrible things. There's very specific reasons why state, local, city, municipalities, etc., county jails, etc., these motherfuckers are not required to report deaths in custody, deaths by force by officers. These numbers are not mandated to be reported to the federal government. So we actually do not know an accurate number of how many people are in fact murdered by police. We do not have an accurate number of how many people die inside county jails, county detention centers, inside of the penitentiaries, private prisons. We don't have accurate numbers on this shit. And it is intentional that they do not keep track of these numbers, because if you knew the real amount of people that died at the hands of law enforcement and by the carceral state, another reason to burn it down. Chichi Macha, would you agree? Dre with or without, would you agree? Greg, would y'all agree? Like, they're daring us at this point to burn the shit down, and it's about getting the whites on board. Now, Luigi has set up a call. Whites, it's your turn. Y'all's turn. Because look how the police doing you. Look how your own country doing you. And I don't mean to highlight the plight of the whites over the plight of black and brown people. It's just that our suffering and our systematic oppression has been very well documented. Most white people believe that their whiteness absolves them of such treatment by the state, but the state is showing you, because whites as a culture, white society in America has looked the other way. The white moderate, the white liberal, as Dr. King lamented so heavily about, right? White moderates ain't shit out here, because if the oppression's not happening to them, they're comfortable. They don't have a problem with the state brutalizing and suppressing and repressing black and brown people or people that speak out against the state. They're okay with it because it's not happening to them. But now it's happening to you. And the reason it's happening to you is because you didn't say shit when it was happening to black and brown people, right? So now the state knows, oh, well, okay. I guess y'all cool with the shit. So now we're going to start doing this shit to you. And with what recourse? And to be honest, I would imagine that it's only because perhaps it was a white man who documented his encounter with the DEA agents, and the DEA agent so flagrantly was violating his civil and constitutional rights, right? Like, it was you hear the DEA agent tell the white man, he was like, all this legal stuff you talking, that shit ain't gonna work. My man's is like, I do not consent to this search. And the cop is like, nigga, we don't give a fuck what you consent to. Open the bag. And it's wild, y'all. And it's really going to take the majority minority, right? Who is the whites at this point, right? Whites people are very close to becoming not the majority in this country. But it's going to take y'all in order to actually overturn the system, in my opinion. Like it would be nice if we could all do it together, but we need more. we need more on board. And it's just going to take more white folks to understand, and black folks, to be honest, and brown folks, to be honest. But I think the whites are deeper in the delusion in the American mythology, the American exceptionalism mythology, the American patriot mythology, the American capitalism is the best mythology. Like, I think white people are way more invested in those systems. And now that they're starting to understand and wake up that, yeah, even though you're white, capitalism doesn't serve you, right? Even though you're white, the police can still brutalize you and mistreat you and violate your rights. So you shouldn't be okay with being treated that way, but you also shouldn't be okay with other people being treated and exploited that way. So now, the DEA says that they have stopped this program, but from what I understand, no agents have lost their jobs from doing this. Interesting that the paid informant got a cut. The gate agents received a cut of seized assets from airline travelers, a bribe, a kickback, if you were. It's a rotten, corrupt system, and it's irredeemable. It's not capable or able to be reformed because reformation does not suit its purposes. Its purposes is to continue to oppress us. If they start treating us with respect in equality and adherence to the law, then the system that they uphold, the system of policing, it loses its power. It loses its intended power. It's not about public safety, and that's clear, right? Cops don't really keep much people safe. You know what I'm saying? They don't do a really good job of apprehending the bads. They apprehend the blacks, but the blacks and the bads are not necessarily the same people. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys and make sure that you understood that from top to bottom, top to fucking bottom, if there's a Democrat in the White House, if there's a Republican in the White House, the rotten system of American policing is going to continue. It's going to continue unabated. It may get slight reprimands. It might get, tiny slaps on the wrist. But overall, that system is not going to change unless it is ended. So let's end it. And speaking of, let's go ahead and end this. God damn, it's 10:30. Shame on me. I know Will hates me. Will, come on up here. Do you hate me? Did anybody send any money? Oh, Kayla N. Kayla, thank you so much for your Cash App support. Thank you. Thanks to everybody that ran super chats, that participated in our fundraiser from last week. We had a mini fundraiser. Our goal was 1.2 million. We fell just a little short of that. But that's okay. That's okay. We are still 1,999 and $987 away from our goal. So you guys can help us. It's like I'm getting any support that you run. We appreciate free support, especially. I'd love to get to 7,000 subs by the end of the year. That would be super cool. So tell the people. What's that, Will?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Just tell people to like the video and subscribe. We appreciate it.
Like the video, subscribe. Also, we want to thank Schultze. Schultze said, Kim, I need another music assignment. Help an ignorant white dude.
Schultze! First of all, Schultze, you're not ignorant because you're here, baby. If you was really ignorant, couldn't be here, beloved. And Schultze, I appreciate you taking up your Frankie Beverly and Mays assignment, and it came in handy, didn't it? When the God transitioned, and you already knew what the fuck time it was. You already was on top of the shit, Schultze, because you understood the assignment. That's what I'm talking about. Let me think about it, Schultze, because I can't even be recommending my faves no goddamn more because these niggas is it's terrible. It's awful. Anyway, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead. Was there more? I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay, I'll take it.
Please hit the like and subscribe. And yeah, y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Will. Shout out to Will again, everybody. Will's out here hustling. You know what I'm saying? Will's on his grind. Dog, the way, as bad as I feel bad for us, I feel terrible for millennials. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. The mid-30s, they try to grind your ass into the fucking dust. And these niggas don't be paying. And then niggas be on social media faking. And it's like, nigga, all y'all can't be balling. Everybody cannot be balling when everybody I know is struggling. Anyway, let me calm down. So thank you all so much again. Like the video. Be sure to tune in and subscribe to Black Liberation Media. Tune into the Remix Morning Show. You can catch me there Thursdays, generally. That's the schedule I'm trying to adhere to. I'm trying to adhere to Ear Doctor's scheduling suggestions. He likes me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I said, that's cool. I can do that. But the show runs Tuesday through Friday. So support the Remix Morning Show all the days, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern. Remixers and Fire Fan, we appreciate y'all to death. Shout out to my man, Luke Kang. They said Louis Kang be around this mug. I want to shout out to Luke Kang. Shout out to all of our mods. Shout out Latif. Hey, Nisi, Alicia, I see you out there. Anna and Abby, appreciate y'all holding us down. Dawn Bird, thank you. All of our regs. Dre with or without, Greg, Leah. You see how Ear Doctor got me? Leah Bones. Ear Doctorisms be contagious. Dre with or without, Chichi Macha. Who else? We got 2Fs in the morning. Swery Faries. Wendy. Everybody. So thank you all so much. That shout out Gangrene Thumb already. I think I did. Mr. Faulty. Thank you. Anyway, all the folks, y'all, thank you all so much. So we'll see y'all back here on Friday. Y'all be safe out here. I love y'all to pieces. Thank you so much to Will and Molly per usual. See y'all later. Bye-bye, y'all. Deuce.